Anyways, let's move on. Yes, the lake fire, guys. So let's just jump into some climate change slash extreme weather news. There's a couple fires going on in Southern California. Big ones. The lake fire started yesterday and has caused some serious problems. The lake fire broke out Wednesday afternoon and quickly exploded to more than 10,000 acres within a few hours and forcing hundreds of people in the Lake Hughes area to evacuate. In an update this morning, fire officials said 10,500 acres have burned and more than 5,400 homes and other structures are threatened. More than 1,050 firefighters are on the scene. No injuries. I wonder if any of those firefighters are prisoners that Kamala kept in jail to fight the fires. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, I had to get that one in. No injuries have been reported, but 3 structures have been destroyed, according to fire officials. Containment is at 0%. Firefighters are dealing with extreme and aggressive fire behavior, officials said, and expect the blaze to grow rapidly. One key objective today, keeping the blaze north of Castaic Lake, south of Highway 138, east of the Red Rock Mountain, and west of Tool Ridge. That's all. That's the one key objective. That's funny. At a press briefing late Wednesday, LA County Deputy Fire Chief David Richardson warned not to expect a quick resolution. Keep in mind, this is a major fire. We'll be out there for days to come. The fire ignited in an area that officials said hadn't burned since 1968. Even though there were minimal winds, a combination of the steep canyons, dry brush, turned it into what one official called a recipe for rapid fire growth. So, yeah. Also, there was another fire, the Apple Fire, which is out towards Riverside area. Let me check that out. Sorry. So they've got it. Now it's up to 80% contained. It was very low on containment as of yesterday, but they've got it mostly contained. But anyways, that's the update on the Apple Fire. Although it is going to be quite hot for the next couple days in Southern California. So, I don't know. Right now it's nicely kind of overcast and it's like warm and humid. So I don't know if this is going to hurt or help the fire conditions. I'm not sure. But we're going to have a very long stretch of extremely hot weather. They've updated the temps. Excuse me. They've updated the temperature on my app. So today is 94, tomorrow 100, Saturday 102, Sunday 96, Monday 98, Tuesday 100, Wednesday 100, Thursday 98, Friday 93, Saturday 93. So it's just, we're going to have a long, hot spell in Southern California. So that's not going to help the fire conditions. I don't think so. Kameshwari Kate Apple Valley. I don't know. They're just calling it the Apple Fire. I don't know if that means it's in Apple Valley or not. That makes sense. It's in the San Bernardino National Forest. Kind of above, like, I want to say it's above Morongo Valley. Anyways, in Canada, they are also experiencing wildfires. In Canada, about 3.8 thousand people were evacuated due to forest fires. This is from yesterday. Canada, about 3.8 thousand residents of the settlement of Red Lake in Ontario were forced to leave their homes due to forest fires. This was reported on Wednesday by CTV with reference to the mayor of the city, Fred Mota. Some residents were transported by plane to nearby localities. In total, approximately 4.1 thousand people live in Red Lake. No injuries or damage were reported. According to the regional fire service, forest fires are raging in the immediate vicinity of the city. At the same time, the wind drives the fire towards the locality. The area of the fire is now estimated at 750 hectares, while on Tuesday it was 550. That is happening as well. Donald McCarthy says democracy is just giving power to stupid people. You know, and I often wonder about that. But would the people be as stupid if they had a functioning media apparatus, if they could get information? Remember back in the 60s when there was a huge revolutionary movement? A lot of people think the driving factor in that was that we had a solid middle class, right, since the 30s and the 40s. There was a solid middle class, and a lot of people, and college was very cheap back then. So a lot of people were going to college. More people were going to college than ever before. People had disposable incomes. People had, owned homes. The suburban living was, a thing. Was taking off and becoming the way that a lot of people lived. So anyways, because of people's wealth, ability to have free time to, read books and also get education, you created a generation of people who were educated and questioning the state of the world, right? And that created a point in time in which people could go, oh, whoa, hey, whoa, what's going on? We don't like this. This is not cool, right? And ever since then, if you have noticed, college has become very expensive. Now college loans are a thing. It's very, it's incredibly expensive. You can't declare bankruptcy and get out of your college loan debt. You're tied into this loan for your whole life. Now, college has become a thing that's, again, more difficult to achieve or receive, college education. And also people have a lot less free time, right? So unions were busted. Because unions were busted, remember yesterday we were talking about the minimum wage being $7.25 when it should be $22 an hour? Well, a big part of that is because over the last 40 years, organized labor, unionized labor has been disintegrating in this country, has been squashed, driving wages down, right? When everybody should be making these nice union $20, $30, $40 an hour wages, nope. There's no more unions. The unions have dissolved. They have very little power. People are just working, just all on their own, getting paid whatever the company wants to pay them. That's by design. Now that people don't make those $20, $30, $40 an hour wages, and they don't have health care, and they're making $7 an hour, $10 an hour, $12 an hour, whatever it is that's not enough to actually be a living wage, people have to work longer, harder. They have to work 2 jobs. They don't have free time. They don't have the time to go to school. They don't have the money to, they don't, right? All that stuff is by design. People are spending their entire, days in survival mode instead of reading books, going to school, questioning the state of the world, right? Then you have the internet, right? 1990s, 2000, you have the internet starts exploding, people start questioning things again, right? So everybody has access to information, and it's, it's widespread. Anybody can get on a computer or go to the library and get on a computer, get on the internet and get information. What happens? You have people questioning the system. All of a sudden you have the rise of progressives. All of a sudden you have the rise of people questioning the system again. And then what happens? Well, YouTube, Google, Facebook, Apple, like all these corporations who are beholden to the powers that be, who are part of the elite controlling class, they start kind of locking down this information highway, right? Now you got to pay for access to a lot of things. You have to pay for your access to news. There's a lot of censorship going on social media, right? You can't talk freely about certain ideas on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or wherever because There's a lot of censorship going on. That's by design. That's by design. They want to keep you stupid. You're right, Donald McCarthy. Democracy is just giving power to stupid people. However, if you force people to remain stupid, then you can do whatever you want with the democracy. If you allow people access to information, or you allow people access to education, as in free college, there's nothing scarier to the Democratic or the Republican Party than the words free college. Because, oh my God, you'd have a whole generation of people who are educated and understand right from wrong, and understand when they're being lied to by the powers that be. Understand what's actually going on in this country and start questioning things and start trying to make a change. You don't want that to happen. Anyways. So, Kuro Hikes, thank you for the super chat. Kevin, you nailed it. Chomsky said that too. Yeah. It's just, the powers that be are getting very, very good at locking up the gateway, being gatekeepers of information. And you're not getting information from news corporations, companies, not from the big ones anyways. They're getting the information they want you to have. So if you're watching CNN, MSNBC, or even Democracy Now, or even PBS, and you think that you're getting unpropagandized information, you are wrong. You are wrong. You have to do better than that. You have to go outside of all of those sources in order to really understand what's happening. But do it quickly, because they're shutting down. They're going to start shutting down your access to this information. Anyways, I wanted to talk about this yesterday. And that goes for climate change too, guys, right? Like, what happened when Planet of the Humans came out? Hey, we're telling the truth about climate change. We're actually telling you what the real deal is about climate change. Let's yank that movie off of YouTube. Dear God, no. We can't let them know that, the Green New Deal might be a joke or a hoax, or a way to just make people feel good about climate change, but actually lead them to their demise under the guise of doing something about the environment. So that goes for climate change too. So I showed you this tweet yesterday. This is a new study that just came out, and this is from yesterday. This is from sciencealert.com, but it's on a lot of platforms. Arctic sea ice could be gone by 2035, according to Earth's climate history. The Arctic's rapidly melting sea ice continues to outrun even our most dire predictions of the future, and that's not out of line with the past. A new and improved model based on the last warm period in Earth's history now suggests shallow pools of rain and meltwater could bring about the end of summer sea ice considerably sooner than we thought. And they're talking about summer sea ice in 2035. So, of course, most of the people on this channel and several people who are actual climate scientists would say that maybe this is even optimistic, 2035. But that's only 15 years from now, right? But the fact that this is, a widely disseminated study, even if this is optimistic, 15 years is not a long time. A new and improved model based on the last... Oh, I read that. If what's happening to the Arctic right now is anything like the last interglacial period, scientists say there's a chance it could be virtually free of sea ice in only 15 years. What they're not telling you is 15 years or much, much sooner than that. The prospect of loss of sea ice by 2035 should really be focusing all our minds on achieving a low-carbon world as soon as humanly feasible, says Louise Syme, a paleoclimate modeler at British Antarctic Survey. Past projections from the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, show summer sea ice persisting over 1 million square kilometers until at least 2050 or even beyond 2100. But recently, that timeline has begun to look far too optimistic. Just this year, an analysis of numerous climate models found that even in the best case scenario, Arctic sea ice would slip below this mark. Even in the best case scenario, Arctic sea ice would slip below this mark, making the region virtually ice-free before the midpoint of the century. Oh, that's definitely happening. I'm telling you, it's absolutely not possible that there's sea ice in 2050. Absolutely not possible. And at 2035, I would say, like, well, that's certainly optimistic. Of course, this doesn't end the debate. There are still so many subtle factors to consider, but Syme says we can gain a better understanding of the future by looking back at Earth's last warm period, which began roughly 130,000 years ago and was much warmer than today. While previous models of this time do not show ice-free summers in the Arctic, Simon, what are those models based on? What kind of input are going into these models? That's what I would like to know. Or what are the, I don't understand, what are the equations or the algorithms that they're using to figure this out? While previous models of this time do not show ice-free summers in the Arctic, Simon and our colleagues found the opposite using improved model physics and incorporating subtle feedback systems in the incorporating subtle feedback systems, you don't say. So the previous models, they didn't have any feedback loops going in there. Oh, whoops, we missed a huge data point. We missed a huge input point. Whoops. Yeah. Come on, scientists, get it together. The model suggests that Arctic was very likely to have been ice-free during the summers of the last interglacial period, and this was enhanced by the presence of melt ponds, even more so than clouds or ocean currents, which have historically been given more weight in the warming Arctic. Melt ponds occur in the Arctic's late spring and summer when rain and melting ice and snow gather into shallow pools of blue. Slightly darker than the ice surrounding them, these scattered bodies of water reduce surface reflectance and absorb significantly more solar radiation than the frozen ground. Some studies have shown melt ponds actually enhance surrounding ice melt and increase the potential of phytoplankton blooms in the ocean underneath. It can also make sea ice unsteadier and lead to fractures, revealing the ocean underneath and contributing to further heat absorption. If what happens to melt ponds back then happens in the future, the authors predict summer sea ice might disappear from the Arctic in the next few decades, anywhere between 2035 and 2086, and it's probably on the sooner side. Half the models they looked at predicted sea ice-free conditions between 2030 and 2040. And even in the worst-case scenario where we do nothing to curb emissions and populations and economies, that's the important part, continue to grow unfettered, the authors found the latest disappearance of sea ice would come in 2066. The study, of course, is not a direct measurement of today's sea ice melt, nor does it examine winter temperatures or seasonal changes in sea ice. It's a prediction based on what happened in the hottest days of the years past and what will happen in the future using our current understanding of the atmosphere, land, ocean, and ice. Okie dokie. So none of the current rate of melt isn't even a factor or an input in here. Am I understanding that correctly or incorrectly? I'm not sure. But honestly, this seems very, very shaky. I mean, it's, I'm glad they're using paleo records and all that, but it seems awful shaky. Even considering that they weren't using some inputs before, whatever. It's an imperfect estimate, but the findings do support more recent models that imply sea ice is on its way out far sooner than we hoped for. There's the word hoped, for in a large part because of the overlooked feedback systems such as melt ponds. The ability of the new model to realistically simulate the very warm LIG Arctic climate provides independent support for predictions of ice-free conditions by summer 2035, the authors conclude. This should be a huge concern to Arctic communities and climate scientists. Yes, it should. Yes, it should. Does it concern you? Because it concerns me. Ads for cool. Yeah, Basil Peterson. Quit looking at the ads, Basil. Come on. Uh, Basically, quit shopping while I'm trying to read these articles. All right. Jeez, get it together. Um, Peter Schiff says buy gold and silver. Problem solved. Well, gold is up, right, to a new high. I looked at silver the other day and it didn't. It looked like it was $20. Where it's been like 15, 20 for the last 10 years or whatever. So for whatever reason, silver won't move. Rudel Zavedno, thank you for the tip. I'll check that out. Maybe I'll read that tomorrow. 52C in Baghdad, melting roads and plastic today. 52C today? Yep. And they've been doing that's been going on for weeks, right? Hold on one second. Well, let me check this out. Yeah. Well, it was 52C a week ago. Where I don't see Baghdad temps today. Woo, it's 112 right now. Although it's much later in the day, right? Uh, I don't know. I'm getting the Google like runaround right now. Sometimes when I try to Google temperatures or heat waves or extreme weather incidents on Google, they're like, "Were you talking about the one 3 or 4 years ago? Were you talking about last week?" No, I'm talking about today. You know it's happening today. Oh, hold on. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Hold on, I'm back. I'm coming back. Sorry, guys. I apologize. I hit the wrong button on my keyboard and um I messed up my stream. So I'm back though. Um, Sorry about that, guy. I don't know how long it was going away, but come on back. We're good. 125.6C. Yeah, I'm here. You all should be able to see me. Give it a second. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know. I messed up. I messed up and hit the wrong button. But anyways, my apologies. I just don't know how long that was going on. Anyways, let's move on. So, yeah. Here's a feel good story, and by feel good, I mean feel really bad. They are proposing a dam near the Grand Canyon on Navajo land. And bet you by golly, wow, they are probably going to build this dam unless something happens. This land is all we have left. Tribes on the edge over giant dam proposal near Grand Canyon. The question is whether these rivers will lose water before they can build this dam, because all the rivers, the tributaries of the Colorado River are all, going down, down, down. So I can't imagine that building a dam is going to be very profitable, but maybe they'll try and do it anyways. Developers want to build a vast hydroelectric power facility that would flood sacred lands, threaten waterways, and put habitats at risk. This is from, excuse the scrolling yesterday. Shortly before Lucille Daniels' father died, he told her, take care of the land, take care of the livestock. This land, a patch of remote desert not far from the Grand Canyon on the western Navajo Nation, has been in the Daniel family for 6 generations. Lucille, 85, was born and grew up there, or grew up here, there. We have a beautiful land here. We just want to keep it that way, she said. Aside from the addition of solar panels and a wind turbine to service her home, Daniel's land is the same as it was generations ago. She still keeps sheep, goats, horses, cows on the property, as do her few neighbors nearby. When it rains, a rare occurrence in a part of the U.S. that has been in a drought for decades, the animals flock to a canyon that transforms into their drinking water source. The canyon, however, as well as the regions nearby and the native culture they sustain, could be altered permanently if a duo of developers get their way. Phoenix-based Pumped Hydro Storage LLC, there's a name, has received a preliminary permit from federal regulators for its Big Canyon pumped storage project. That's a name too. A string of 4 huge dams near the Little Colorado River, along with reservoirs and a power generation facility about 3 miles from Daniel's home. The preliminary permit does not allow construction, but it gives pumped hydro priority in getting a license to build. The project is the 3rd pumped hydro has proposed in the Big Canyon region. The 2 previous ones received major pushback from tribes and environmentalists. And that's why I'm reading this, because if anybody, I'm just sending out the alert or helping to send out the alert that this too should receive extreme pushback by anybody who's in the area or anybody who's affiliated. If built, it would function as both a battery and a station for generating up to 7,900 gigawatt hours of electricity. It would pump groundwater up into 4 reservoirs, one of which would flood Big Canyon. The water would be stored as potential power ready to be unleashed down canyons through generators and toward the Little Colorado River when electricity is needed. Sounds awesome. The environmental and cultural costs, and by awesome I mean stupid as hell, the environmental and cultural costs of this proposal would be major. Tribal members and environmentalists say the project would flood several miles of canyons sacred to the Navajo, risk damaging cultural sites for several tribes, draw vast amounts of critical groundwater, potentially harm habitats for plants and animals, including some endangered species, and risk adverse effects for waterways heading into the Grand Canyon. Of course, we all know that hydropower is extremely destructive. It is not a quote-unquote renewable energy source, or not to be looked upon as such. It is damaging. It damages the ecosystems. Any electricity the Big Canyon project generates would go off the reservation, probably to the bigger cities in southern Arizona. Opposition from tribal and environmental organizations is fierce. The Big Canyon project won't move forward without the Navajo government's approval, and non-tribal entities are joining the chorus of criticisms. For many Navajo people, money is far from the first thing on their mind when the Big Canyon project comes up. Rather, it brings back exhausting memories of their fight to stop the Grand Canyon Escalade, a tourist destination proposed in 2009 that took years of local opposition to kill. Escalade Scottsdale-based developers had a gargantuan vision for the Grand Canyon's rim, all on tribal land atop the canyon. Their dreams included several restaurants, stores, hotels, the helicopter pad, offices, and wastewater treatment plant. Then a tram would run down the canyon's floor, where it would meet an amphitheater, sculpture garden, gift shop, and 2 more. Oh, God, dang it. No, thank you. I'm so glad that did not happen. Right next to the sacred confluence of the Colorado and Little Colorado rivers. Ask Steve Irwin if there's concern with building 4 giant dams up to 10,000 feet long or 400 foot high. And he sees a few issues. Where this is located, hardly anybody will see it, he said. It'll be in a hole. If you're native, though, that hole carries great significance. Flooding it for a power plant is a cultural death sentence. Anyways, guys, just alerting you to that situation, and anybody else who would like to help in alerting people to this situation. uh, anyways, y'all are back. 129 watching, 42 likes. Please like up the video so that more can know that we are here. And if you are unsubscribed, you know what to do. Hero Hikes, ask the animals. Solidarity. Violet Crumble, money, money, money. It's a rich man's world. What, no gift shop? Yeah. It has to be stopped indeed, Gene, and hopefully it will be. Anthony Davis, am I the only one who thinks Trump is a figment of our collective imagination that we will wake up from the insanity in a day or so? I don't know. He's uncomfortably real for me. All right, 53 likes. Thank you. Damn, Andy the Gardener. Speaking truth, dams never break even, but might encourage more overshoot. That's exactly what dams encourage. They always destroy the environment around them. Not to mention the amount of emissions that it takes to build the dams. Here's just a little bit of good news. India reverts to building mud homes to fight climate change. And I was just about to talk about the environmental impact of concrete and how much global warming it causes. First time I saw Rajesh sloshing in the mud, his face was lit up with joy. He was building his future home in Srishti in a Thasuthali village in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu. A few months later, the 160 square foot handcrafted house was ready, built completely by the men at Srishti, a nonprofit organization that helps intellectually challenged people lead self-reliant lives using local materials. They worked with sun-dried bricks made of mud dug from their well and cow dung from their farm, topped with some straw and recycled wood found in their neighborhood. It's the kind of hand-built house that for centuries was the norm in India. And there wasn't a problem with the way that these houses were built. In fact, these were preferable. Before cement became the dominant construction material in the second half of the last century, in keeping with global trends. Now such handcrafted homes are making a comeback, their nascent revival sparked by growing awareness of climate change in a nation that in recent years frequently has been battered by extreme weather events. If the cement industry were a country, it would be the third largest emitter of carbon dioxide in the world. That's a big country. It released 2.8 billion tons of CO2 in 2016, according to the Chatham House think tank. That's something 25-year-old Chennai-based architect Krithika Venkatesh wants no part in. Her first construction used 50% less cement than regular buildings. She has since built 2 more homes without using any cement and at a cost $30 per square foot. That's no higher than regular buildings that do. Mud buildings withstanding floodwaters. There you go. I'm just showing some pictures here. So this is beautiful. What is old is new again, and these ancient or older technologies prove to be much less impactful on the environment than the new technologies. Jennifer Elizabeth says, clay is all over my property. Playing in the dirt is more like a pottery class. Yes. Brian Melt, very low carbon truth, and it's delicious. Yes. John D says Chatham House is a right-wing think tank that doesn't take minutes at its meetings. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, who knows? But apparently they care about climate change, or are at least looking at this. I don't know. Lastly, I've been trying to read this from Kevin Hester, The Inevitability of Nuclear War and Subsequent Nuclear Winter. This is very depressing and leave you with some doom. So far, we have survived nuclear Armageddon by luck, says Paul Craig Roberts. The long, lucky streak can't go on forever. President Reagan understood this and focused on ending the Cold War. The achievement has been overturned by the evil neocons operating through the last 3 U.S. presidents. Click here for additional PCR. Sourced article ticking closer to nuclear midnight. This is just a very quick... If you guys want to look this up, you can find it. In a nuclear war, immense nuclear firestorms and burning cities would create millions of tons thick black radioactive smoke. The smoke would rise above cloud level and quickly surround and engulf the entire Earth. Smoke would form a stratospheric smoke layer that would block sunlight from reaching the surface of the Earth for a period of about 10 years. Heated smoke in the stratosphere would cause massive destruction of the protective ozone layer. Huge amounts of harmful ultraviolet light would penetrate the smoke and reach the surface of the Earth. Warming sunlight would be blocked by the smoke layer and cause the Earth to rapidly cool. In a matter of days, Ice Age weather conditions would descend upon all peoples and nations. Just to remind you of the fact that we have thousands and thousands and thousands of nuclear warheads in our arsenals, and we're making more. We're building more. Before one more thing, or a couple more things I wanted to read in the comments. Lydia Valise left this today. Heat wave in the Netherlands today, 30 to 36 C for days now. Trees are dropping their leaves. Grass is turning yellow. We are suffering no air conditioning. Right, because they generally don't have to have air conditioning in the Netherlands. And lastly, I'm going to read another edition of McCorkle's Corner. This is from yesterday. I keep all my carbon emissions in a Biden barrel, a wooden barrel that arrives full of shit. After eating the shit by voting for the lesser of two mummies, one fills it with carbon dioxide caught using an aquarium fish net. It works like renewable energy, in that it hides carbon emissions so one feels better while doing nothing. Get your Biden barrel today and eat shit in the form of a senile candidate that isn't Sanders and isn't Trump, so no one's happy. The preceding political ad is paid for by Emissions Hiding Council, pushing renewable energy devices that rely on fossil fuels throughout their whole life cycle. But let's pretend they aren't, because sun and wind. Stay energy ignorant for a green tomorrow and dead day after tomorrow. Vote for shit light. Who needs ice? We'll be fine. Like when you unplug your refrigerator for a year. Just get a new fridge or a new planet. Like the Tesla's Lizard Man is doing. In a zero Arctic ice world, just don't farm. You won't be able to anyways. And shed those unwanted pounds through food shortages. Or vertical farm. That'll keep high living standards around for sure, like wind turbines and solar panels. Or farm in the mud in northern Canada. The new temperate zone. Bring your own topsoil. Or else expect a short wait for topsoil to appear, about 100,000 years, give or take. Our flood video standards have gone up and only get our collective attention if a car or cow, or better yet, a woman or on a roof boat slips across the video screen. The stationary floodwaters are old-fashioned. Noah's Bible flood is tame, but maybe cars, cows, or a woman on a roof boat were not yet invented in the time of Noah, plus no camera phones. Just people making stuff up to shove in the Bible. That Three Gorges Dam is holding on by its fingernails and several rolls of duct tape. Good luck, Chinese people. A crude oil rivers sound interesting to see. Bung some cows and cars and cows in so people around the world will be enticed to click on the oil river videos and declare outrage, thus solving the problem in some way. I'm indigenous, but only to Africa, from where my ancestors come. And your ancestors, and every human's ancestors from Africa. Right. Actually quite true. We are all African We are all African. If you go back far enough. Worth a reminder, we are invaders elsewhere and are no more indigenous outside of Africa than zebras in Hawaii or turkeys in England. We are all a very successfully invasive species from Africa, and some of us were early first invaders but aren't indigenous to non-Africa. In non-Africa, we are invasive people. True story. Okay. Hope you all enjoyed that from Marty McCorkle. You all didn't, probably can't even read that. Anyways, yes, Rich Diana, a doomer. Hey guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel at the links below, PayPal, Patreon, Square. Also, if you'd like to watch the live streams, you can watch the live streams on my Patreon channel. You can subscribe for as little as $1. So hopefully I will see you over there, and thanks so much.